Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here. So, as I'm sure you guys already know, Murat Gassiev signed with Eddie Hearn and he will be making his heavyweight debut at some point in the summer. Now, it's looking likely that Murat Gassiev will make his heavyweight debut on the undercard of Maurice Hooker versus Jose Ramirez. That takes place on July 27th. And they are looking for an opponent for Murat Gassiev. And the name that's being mentioned right now is a guy by the name of Joey Dawejko. Now, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the name Joey Dawejko after this past week. Now, Joey Dawejko, according to a few reports online, knocked out Anthony Joshua in sparring before his fight with Andy Ruiz Jr. That's the story that's been going around over the past week. Whether it's true or not, we don't really know, but he remains tight-lipped about the situation. He's not confirming or denying this took place, but regardless, his name right now has some value. I mean, us hardcore boxing fans or guys who follow the sport closely, we knew who Joey Dawejko was. But, people like us are few and far between. 95% of the boxing audience had no clue who this guy was before this week. So his name value right now is as high as it's ever been because of a sparring story that may or may not be true. So having Joey Dawejko as your first fight at heavyweight at this point makes a lot of sense because, like I said, Joey Dawejko's name value right now is as high as it's ever been and probably ever will be, let's be honest about it. Unless Joey Dawejko causes some upset in an actual fight scenario, his name value is as high as it ever will be. So he makes sense from that perspective, and from a matchmaking perspective and an introduction to the heavyweight division, the fight also makes sense from that point of view because Joey Dawejko is one of those extremely capable journeyman. Defensively, Joey Dawejko is quite good. He covers up well. He can slip and slide with the shots. He's got that kind of Philly style. He's from Philadelphia and he has that type of style. He knows all of the tricks of the trade. You can tell he's been in several gyms across the USA. You can tell he's been used as a sparring partner in many different camps. And yeah, the guy really knows how to take care of himself in the ring. He also actually has a very good chin. In his 7 defeats, he's only been stopped once. And he's taken Sergey Kuzmin the distance. He actually went to a majority decision with Sergey Kuzmin. He gave him a really hard fight. He took Andrei Fedosov the distance. He can punch. He took Bryant Jennings the distance. He took Amir Mansour the distance, who can also punch. He took Jarrell Miller to a draw. The guy's durable, the guy's tough, and like I said, he knows how to look after himself. He's not the type of fighter where you land one shot and he'll fall over. No, Joey Dawejko is a real journeyman. He's what a journeyman should be. A guy who can extend you rounds and maybe even give you a few problems. Like I said, in Dawejko's last fight against Sergey Kuzmin, he was very competitive. He fought with ambition and it was fairly close, so I actually believe Joey Dawejko would be an ideal opponent for Murat Gassiev at heavyweight. Theoretically, he should take Gassiev a few rounds, which is ideal because Gassiev hasn't been in the ring since July 2018. And also, being the type of fighter Dawejko is, he will give Murat Gassiev a few different looks, a few different angles to figure out. So it would be an ideal fight for Gassiev at heavyweight, an ideal first fight at heavyweight. It would give us an idea of where Gassiev is at right now, how his power carries up to heavyweight, and what he really has. If Gassiev were to knock out Joey Dawejko, that would be quite a statement actually. But yeah, I like the idea of Gassiev versus Dawejko, if I'm being honest. Obviously, I expect Gassiev to win if it comes off. If it gets made, I expect Gassiev to win. But from a matchmaking perspective, it's a good fight for him right now. I made a video recently about Gassiev signing to Matchroom, and I also mentioned a few guys who he could fight in his first heavyweight fight. If it's not Dawejko, you know, I think somebody like Travis Kaufman would suffice. You know, Kaufman can go a few rounds. He can also give you a few different looks and angles. So Kaufman could be a decent first fight at heavyweight for Murat Gassiev. Or maybe they want to go a level above that. Maybe fight somebody like, I don't know, Johan Duhaupas. You know, Duhaupas, big tough guy, a former heavyweight title challenger. You know, that would be a good test for Gassiev's first heavyweight fight. Again, Duhaupas, durable, tough, rugged, would be a good first fight in the division for Murat Gassiev. But yeah, I do like the idea of Joey Dawejko. I think he would be ideal. But I've got to say, I really am looking forward to Murat Gassiev's heavyweight debut. I'm really excited for it. And I believe this guy has the ability to do well. I think he will surprise people. I know people right now are a bit down on Gassiev because of his fight with Alexander Usyk. Yeah, he got schooled. Yeah, he got outboxed. But it's one fight. The kid is, 25 years old. He's got a lot of time left. He's got a lot of good attributes. He's a skilled guy. And it's not like he's really small. You know, he's not going to be the biggest heavyweight, of course, but he's not tiny. I think he'll do okay. I think he'll surprise people. I really do. Another thing to consider with both Usyk and Gassiev, you know, these guys are no longer cutting weight. To make cruiserweight, these guys had to cut a lot of weight. I know Gassiev in particular cut a lot of weight to make cruiserweight. So maybe these guys are better at heavyweight physically, you know, heavier punching, better gas tanks, etc. So maybe the move to heavyweight could revitalise these guys and, you know, bring that extra level out in them. Don't be surprised to see these guys look really effective and just as strong at heavyweight. I wouldn't be surprised at all. You know, Gassiev has the potential, the attributes and the time to make a real success of this. Listen to what Chris Arreola says about Murat Gassiev. Chris Arreola has sparred Gassiev, and Arreola said Gassiev was the heaviest-handed guy he's actually shared a ring with. He said the guy has crazy power. And maybe that's because he's sparring Arreola when he is not depleted. You know, when he's not had to cut all that weight. Don't be surprised to see this guy knock people out at heavyweight. And that goes for any cruiserweight going up. We've already seen an example of it recently, or in the last few years. Briadis, he had a fight at heavyweight against Manuel Char, and he knocked Manuel Char spark out. Out cold with an uppercut on the back foot. And Briadis has fought most of his career at cruiserweight. He fought that fight at heavyweight, and we saw, you know, these guys can still punch, and maybe their power will actually be more profound at heavyweight because of the fact they are not having to cut weight anymore. They're not having to deplete themselves. Don't be surprised if Murat Gassiev becomes a top 10 heavyweight and becomes a problem. Don't be surprised if Alexander Usyk picks up a belt. These guys are good enough. They've certainly got the talent advantage, and they're not tiny. You know, they are physically big guys, they're strong, they're powerful. These guys will be top heavyweights. They will be top 10, and they will be problems for anybody in the division. I'm saying it right now. I'm not saying these guys will beat everybody, but I wouldn't rule them out. I really wouldn't rule them out. Briadis would be another guy I wouldn't rule out should he move up to heavyweight. We've already seen a glimpse of what he can do in the weight class. So yeah, I am intrigued by these cruiserweights moving up to the heavyweight division. I really do believe they add something new to the division. They keep the division fresh. And yeah, I believe these guys will go on and have success in the heavyweight division. Obviously, Alexander Usyk is the guy we expect to do well, but don't rule out Murat Gassiev. That's all I'm saying. I think he can make a success of it, and I expect him to do quite well. Share your thoughts below. Am I being too optimistic in regards to Gassiev's chances at heavyweight, or do you agree with me? Share your thoughts below. I'm intrigued to hear what you think about this one, and I'm also intrigued to hear what you think about Gassiev's first fight at heavyweight. Do you like Dawejko? as an opponent, or would you prefer to see somebody else? Share your thoughts below. Peace.